host for the evening. I'm Karen Dion. I'm the internationally best-selling author of two psychological suspense novels, The Marsh King's Daughter, which is published in 25 languages around the world, and then The Wicked Sister that just came out this past summer. And briefly, I want to introduce our other authors. So Finola Austin is also known as the Secret Victorianist on her award-winning blog. She's England-born, Northern Ireland raised, and Brooklyn-based historical novelist and lover of the 19th century. Her first novel, Bronte's Mistress, tells the story of Lydia Robinson, the older woman rumored to have had an affair with Branwell Bronte, the Bronte sisters' brother. And it was published by Atria Books in August of 2020. By day, she works in digital advertising. Melanie Benjamin is the New York Times bestselling author of a whole big bunch of books, but the ones that she names here in her bio are The Aviator's Wife and The Swans of Fifth Avenue. And her newest novel, The Children's Blizzard, will be out January 12. Greer Macallister is a USA Today bestselling author who also, of course, writes historical fiction. Hers are inspired by strong women of the past. Her novels include The Magician's Lie, Girl in Disguise, and Woman 99. Her new novel, The Arctic Fury, is an Indie Next Pick and Library Reads selection and comes out from Sourcebooks on December 1. That's like just right around the corner. And then we have Kristina McMorris. And Kristina was initially inspired by her grandparents' World War II courtship letters. And she's authored 2 novellas and 5 historical novels, including Sold on a Monday, which spent 5 months on the New York Times bestseller list. Previously, she worked as a weekly TV show host since age 9. I don't think that's a typo. as well as a PR director known as the head of damage control, and owned a wedding and event planning company until she had far surpassed her limit of YMCA and chicken dances. So welcome. We're really glad you're all here tonight. And before we go into the breakout rooms, we're going to play a quick little game of 20 questions. And look, we even have cards to make it official. See, they say back room on the...
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh, no, not me. Okay.
How old were you when you learned to read?
Oh, 5? Or, like normal age. I wasn't a prodigy or anything.
All right. Can you remember the moment when it clicked and you realized you were reading?
I don't. I played music. I could read music before I could read words, because I was kind of a child piano prodigy kind of thing. And that I remember, but the words part, I don't remember that.
That's very interesting. Sorry. Yeah. Finola, what was your favorite book as a child?
Favorite book as a child. I mean, I'm the Harry Potter generation, so that certainly has a place in my heart, especially because it was the family coming together, and that was read to me by my mother, who was great for reading to us, me and my sister in bed. So I'm probably going to say that, but also the Brontes. Jane Eyre was my first Bronte book, and I read that to me really young as well. So that probably set me on this path.
It's so interesting, isn't it, how it can start so early?
Absolutely.
Greer, what book made you want to be a writer?
I would say I was thinking about childhood books after the last answer. So probably A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. I own, if you look just up, the only books behind me are my books. And then this whole set right here is Madeleine L'Engle. So I love A Wrinkle in Time in particular, but a lot of her other work as well.
Oh, nice. Kristina, this might be a hard question.
Oh, no. I could answer all the other ones.
What is your favorite book of all time?
Oh, okay. Actually, that one is, oh, good. Okay, that's an easy one. My favorite book of all time I would say as a parent, I probably have one that's different than me as a reader. As a reader, it would be The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Mm-hmm. And I just remember reading it, and I'm sure if anybody who's read it knows that you're reading it and going, the writing is just incredible, and yet you kind of going, after about 100 pages, you're like, but where is this going? And then at 150, you go, oh my gosh, now I understand. And I remember just coming down and reading sentences to my husband going, you have to read this sentence. It's so simple, simplest words, but put in an order that just embedded in my brain. So, and then as a parent, probably the Giving Tree is one of my absolute favorites. And just recently when I kind of read the controversy of why some people hate it or love it, and you're like, oh, this is really interesting how different you can view that book, but I love it.
Nice. Very nice. Melanie, when do you feel the most creative?
I don't know when I don't feel creative. I don't know that. Probably mid-morning, early afternoon is when I tend to actually sit down and write. So maybe then, but I'm constantly, but in late night, I'm a night owl. Late night time, I can get very creative in the late hours, early morning hours of the day.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Finola, do you write on paper or with a keyboard?
Definitely with a keyboard. We were just talking about lack of in-person events, and I was saying one silver lining is that people haven't had to put up with my bad handwriting when signing books. So as a child and teenager, I used to write by hand, but it would be impossible to see. And now I type everything, usually on Scrivener first.
Greer, are you a plotter or a pantser?
I'm a mess, is what I am. So I start with outlines and then I chuck them partway through. So I keep trying to plan. And I know Kristina has a particular talent of having like extensive outlines to follow. But I start planning, but then I'm an organic writer and partway through, I just sort of veer off in some other direction usually.
Another hard question for Kristina.
Okay.
Always.
Kittens or puppies?
Oh God, these are so easy. I love it. You could have me bracing myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. Oh, puppies for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I had 2 kittens, and I had them for a short. People told me this is before I was married, and said I worked so much. They said if you wanted a pet, go with a cat because they're just so much easier, they're so self-sufficient and all these lies. And they said, don't just get one, get 2 because they'll entertain each other. Okay, that did not go well. It just did not go well. So
it's puppies now, huh?
I give them to a friend.
Yeah.
To a very loving, appreciative home.
Very nice. Very nice. Melanie, what animal would you love to have as a pet?
I would love a horse. I was a horsey girl when I was little. I had all the Marguerite Henry books, right? All of them. And I took horseback riding lessons and I always wanted to have a horse and we didn't. And I still sometimes think that maybe I'd like to get back up on the saddle again and take horseback riding lessons again.
Nice. Nice. Finola, what word do you use too much?
Oh, this is a weird one, but I like adding like un, to the start of adjectives. Especially when I'm in the perspective of a character that notices that things haven't been done. So my character in Bronte's Mistress, she's a little bit judgy and critical. So she would notice something like the bed was unmade more than she would notice things that had been done. So I've noticed that I create new adjectives as well, like unmade at least is one, but I'll add on the start of words that don't normally have it.
Cool. Cool. Greer, what word can you not spell?
Good question. Nothing's coming to mind off the top of my head. I think I try not to use the ones that I don't know how to spell, or maybe it's just that spell check is so, good now that it fixes whatever I've screwed up.
True.
Although sometimes it fixes what I haven't screwed up, and that's a real problem.
Yeah. For me, it's the word license, LISLICE, I always get it wrong. All right. One last question for Kristina. Which of your novels are you most proud of?
Okay. Yeah, I will. That's kind of a toss up between 2 because my first one, Letters from Home, was sort of it's the debut. And so it's the one that you go, I really write it better today if I could, but it really was inspired by my grandparents' courtship letters, as you mentioned earlier. And so it's sort of that labor of love, I think, right? All of our first book that when you are so blissfully ignorant that you think every sentence you write is just so fantastic. So for the dedication to my grandparents, that's the one I'm most proud of. But I would say The Edge of Lost, on as far as I got to put in Irish immigrants and Italian immigrants and Ellis Island and Alcatraz and Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, so that one I had by far the most fun with. So that's the one probably for that reason.
Very cool. Thank you. Well, that's it on the questions, but we're going to just take a minute. The authors are prepared to share a book recommendation. So Melanie, what book would you like everybody to read?
I have always loved Maggie O'Farrell. I've been a big fan of hers for years and years and years, read all her books, and her most recent novel, which is a historical novel, which she doesn't usually do, is called Hamnet. And it is a historical novel about Shakespeare and his son, who is the title Hamnet, but it's really more about Shakespeare's wife. And it's just beautiful, historical, set in a plague, which, it was very, very timely for Maggie. I'm sure, she wrote it years ago, but it just came out this year, did really, really well. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it.
Nice. How about you, Finola?
Yeah, I've got a book to recommend that's not out yet. It's by Molly Greeley, and it's called The Heiress. And Molly's first book came out last year. It was The Clergyman's Wife, which was about the character of Charlotte Collins, née Lucas, from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And she's stuck with the Jane Austen world. This is about Anne de Bourgh, Lady Catherine de Bourgh's daughter. Really interesting backstory for her, an unexpected LGBTQI plus romance. I think this book is great. It comes out in January.
Thank you. Thank you. Greer?
Awesome. I have a copy of the book, but it won't help too much because it doesn't have the final cover on it, but it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, which I reviewed for the Chicago Review of Books when it came out a couple of months ago. And it's amazing. It's a historical fantasy about a young woman who basically makes a deal with the devil and can live as long as she wants, but no one will remember her. And it's just this beautiful meditation on life and memory and love and bargains and a lot of other fun stuff. So I highly recommend it.
Sounds amazing. How about you, Kristina? What book do you think everybody should read?
So what's funny is when I was asked this the other day to email back what book I'd recommend, I kid you not, and this is a symptom of the pandemic, the mental side, is that I actually for a moment forgot that Greer was part of this. And I immediately said, she did pay me $20 to say this. So she's going to Venmo me after this. But I said The Arctic Fury by Greer Macallister. And then Karen came back and said, oh my gosh, I can't wait to read. And I said, oh, wait a minute, Greer's going to be there. And I said, so whatever. So yeah, pay me later. But here is, because I read it on it as a PDF, all I can show you is this gorgeous cover this way. But it is coming out December 1st, I believe, right, Greer? And oh my gosh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's a long book, and I am a slow reader. And I think I told her I stayed up till like 5 a.m. finishing it. I couldn't go to bed. It was, so in short, she'll tell you much more in your breakout sessions, I've no doubt. And otherwise I'll probably completely butcher it. But I know it's about Lady Jane Franklin and inspired by a true story of, I believe, right, her husband's expedition that was lost with other men and 2 ships. And so this is a fictionalized account then of Lady Jane hiring women, a group of women explorers that go and try to track them down and going to the Arctic and
Fantastic.
and how they survive and all of that. So yeah, courtroom.
I love your excitement for it.
Wasn't that fun? We hope that you enjoyed this taste of what a backroom event is like. The best part comes immediately after, when the audience is divided into breakout rooms and the authors visit each room in turn. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because these relaxed face-to-face conversations are the hallmark of our backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded. What's said in the back room stays in the back room.